All right. Hi. Welcome to blab.im and the App Business Podcast. This is the news episode. My name is Chris Chigi. Andrew Hubbard to my right or my left. I'm not sure.
Hey, Chris.
in Australia.
Yeah.
We're going to be hitting the news today. Hope everyone's doing well. We're gearing up for the holiday season. So we have some topics about a couple of kind of shopping events that have already happened, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and kind of that whole post-Thanksgiving weekend of hanging out with the family and shopping and all that kind of stuff. And then we've got some topics on the new Google ad format, which looks really cool, all sorts of stuff. So we'll just jump right in. Andrew, where do you want to start?
Let's do it. Well, let's just get straight in. We'll start with Facebook releasing their SDK for Apple TV. So yeah, I mean, most app publishers out there are going to know that, Facebook have got their SDK, works on iOS, Android, Unity, all those platforms. And what that does is you drop it in the app. It lets you integrate things like Facebook login, Facebook sharing, and all those Facebook features. And what they've done is they've just released the SDK for Apple TV as well. I think what's most interesting though is they've got a different login method that they use for Apple TV, rather as opposed to on your mobile devices, iPad, iPod, iPhone, Android. So instead of actually asking for your Facebook username and password to log in, what they do is they tell you to go to a web address on your phone. When you go there, and I'm assuming you logged into Facebook on your phone, it gives you a 6-digit or a code. And then you just enter that code into your Apple TV and it logs you in.
Yeah, ESPN and HBO and YouTube, or I think the article cites YouTube, but I don't know that I've seen it with YouTube. But it's it's the same process as those guys use.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's way easier, and it's such a obvious smart move by Facebook to get into. They're kind of trying to position themselves as like where content is curated, right? It's your place to go for content. And so smart for them to be tracking everything that's happening on the TV as well.
Yeah, that's right. So like you said, there's those services they're offering already, but this is good for app developers because until now there wasn't a way to integrate a really easy login process into the app on an Apple TV. So this unlocks that sort of ability and removes a lot of the friction associated with convincing your users to log in on a TV. So,
Yep.
Cool.
And as a bigger note, it's just nice to see Twitter made an announcement, something similar today, related to tvOS, and it's just good to see the big guys not fighting it, but like creating tools and making it easier to adopt this platform.
Yeah, it's got to give developers confidence that this platform is something that they should be looking at and and moving to in the future.
Yep.
All right, your turn to pick the next one, Chris.
All right, we'll just go down the list. iOS 9 adoption rates. They talked about there's a release on that. It hit 70% in November, and that's actually a faster adoption rate, which Apple and iOS are known for having fast adoption rates, especially compared to Android, which is totally fragmented. So 70% of devices are on the latest major operating system, which is good news for developers. Yeah, and I guess at this time for iOS 8, it was about 60%. So I think those numbers are going to start to become less important as the secondary market for iPhones, it becomes a bigger part of the iOS ecosystem, or I don't know if that's what part of the user base for iOS devices. But for now, while that's still not a huge deal, it's super interesting.
Yeah, that's right. And the other point they noted was it's slowing. So, and this is what we see every year. There's rapid adoption at first when the new operating system comes out, and then over time it continues to grow, but the numbers slow. So, it only increased 4% over the last 4 weeks. But that's just normal. That's just par for the course.
Yeah. My approach with that always is I support the latest two, 8 and 9. And I figure if they're still on 7, they're probably not either spending money in the app or they're not like that engaged with the device. I figure anyone that's really using, and you can't do that with Android because a lot of the hardware manufacturers don't even support the latest Android release. Android is just a different beast, but for iOS, it's probably, if you got the last 2, you're pretty well covered, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the general consensus from what I've heard across the board too. Most developers take that approach, and it seems to work well. So, well, I mean, if you did it here, you'd have 92%. If you supported iOS 8 and iOS 9 right now, you're covering 92% of iOS users. So, you really have to ask yourself, is it worth all the extra effort of supporting iOS 7 to capture that last 8%? For most people, it's just not worth the extra work.
Right. Yep.
All right. Moving on, we had...
Cool one. This is a good topic.
This is a good one. So this is my favorite for the week. We should have kept this to last. But basically what Google have come out with a new announcement, and they're saying that the new Google ads can now stream app demos. So basically what they're saying is when you run into an ad for an app inside another app, it might offer you the chance to stream it. So it might... you might be able to stream the app for a minute-long demo. You don't have to install it. You just say, yes, I'd like to stream it. And the ad will go ahead and stream you about a minute worth of a live demo of the app that's being advertised.
Right. It's not a video. It's you're playing the app. You're interacting with the app.
It doesn't specifically say interacting, but for this to be different to a video, then, yeah, you have to be interacting. For this to be a true demo, you have to be interacting. And
I've seen some of these ads where it says like move the tile to, it's like a Game of War ad or something where it says move the tile, or it's the Schwarzenegger one, the new app that Schwarzenegger's endorsing. So I guess it's similar to that, but
kind of, but that's just a very small specific piece of code that only allows one action.
Right.
As opposed to giving you an insight into the actual app. So this is a bit of an extension of, we talked about this, a month or so ago, probably not even that long, where Google announced app streaming. And at the time we didn't know much about it, but this article was really interesting because it shed a bit more light on that as well. So basically what's happening is with app streaming, you do a Google search on the web, on wherever, and it'll show search results, basically inside of the apps you've installed. So it uses deep linking to pull, you might search for a recipe and it might bring up a search result that's, got that recipe in this app. And it'll say, whatever app has your chicken recipe. But then you can actually tap on the result and Google runs the app on its own servers. So we didn't know how this worked before, but what it's actually doing is Google's running the app on its own servers and then it's sending the results down to your phone. So you see the recipe, you click it, Google will run the app on its servers, push the recipe down and all the data down to your phone as a page or as a result or whatever. Pretty cool, yeah? Yeah,
that makes more sense when we do it like a static thing, like a recipe. But it's a game like that, it's like, wow, that seems pretty cool. So if for anyone listening that's like ready to go do this now, you can't. Number one.
No.
And if you could, it's super limited. So it's only for Android users and it's only for like the 2 latest versions. And there's like all these. So, even if you were one of these selected publishers to beta this, you're probably hitting 1% of the United States install base. I made that number up, but it's a small percentage.
Tiny.
Yeah.
So the whole list is, it's only available to phones in the US connected to Wi-Fi, running Android Lollipop or Marshmallow. And on top of that, it's in beta and only available to a very limited set of advertisers. So, yeah.
But if you see one of those ads, that's kind of cool because then you're in that very small group that they're targeting.
That's right.
So yeah, that's cool. Again, it's one of these things where it's less about that I'm excited to use it or even see it or whatever. It's more that things just keep getting pushed so fast in these directions that are interesting. And people, these companies are trying lots of different things. And I mean, we'll cover things and forget that we covered them because the company will have tried it and then abandoned it. And this might be one of those things. We don't know. But 1 in 10 of them stick and they make a huge difference. So we'll see. I mean, obviously deep linking is here to stay. That's super apparent in a lot of the news. I mean, there's another news item about that actually this week, but this is another example. Oh, did Adrian show up?
Yeah, we just got Adrian and
I got some high fives before I even saw them join. What's up,
Harper
guys?
Miller joined as well. How you doing, guys?
Yes.
So, yeah, keep going, Chris. Roll with it.
Just that these guys keep investing in this space. It's clear that this is a huge focus for all these guys. Okay. So this is the next news item. It's actually related to deep linking. I knew it was in the list. Snapchat, their platform is used. This is a huge app. And they actually have this thing called Discovery, which is really great for advertisers or businesses or brands. They wouldn't call it
Publishers,
advertising.
yeah.
Publishers. Okay. So how do they say it? Publishers.
Whatever they say.
Yeah. And so there's lots of ways to interact with Snapchat, but that one of the things that's lacking from Snapchat is any kind of insight to engagement or interaction with users, or you kind of just like publish content and then that's it. It just is out there. But so what they're doing is basically allowing publishers of Snapchat content, people publishing things in Snapchat, to now then deep link to that publication in Snapchat from, wherever. So
from external links, so
right.
from the web, from whatever. Yeah.
Right. And if it happens from a desktop, you get a code to download Snapchat. And if it happens from Facebook, the Facebook app and a mobile device, it goes into Snapchat and opens it in Snapchat. Pretty cool. I mean, it's another thing where it opens up another channel for user acquisition, for advertising, for branding. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So it'll be interesting to see if developers adopt it because publishers adopt it, sorry. But absolutely, if they're putting content out into Snapchat, then they want as many people to see that as possible, particularly that demographic that are using Snapchat, because that's why they're putting it there. And this is just another way for them to do that. So they can, put these links all around the mobile web, advertise on Facebook, whatever, and then people click the link, it opens Snapchat, takes them directly to the content that the publisher wants them to see. So
now, could people interacting with the content, let's say I'm following Comedy Central and I want to share a funny little clip that they have, could I share it, or is it only the publisher?
You mean share the link?
Yeah. I want to post.
It's just a link. It's like any other hyperlink. I'd assume you can share it.
So I could share. I don't know that there's a way to view a link though in Snapchat.
No, I don't think you could do it from in Snapchat. But why would you be doing it from in Snapchat?
Like I want to share the content that's in Snapchat on Facebook, right? So I'm saying, is it only Comedy Central that can share it, or can anyone share it?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought you meant if you found the link outside on the web or something and wanted to share. I was thinking, of course.
I'm just walking along and hey, there's a Snapchat link. Just because that would just be the next level of this kind of viral stuff. It's cool to see what we've called social networks niche out into all these very specific use cases. And there's people that use Twitter for something and Pinterest for something else, Instagram for something else, and LinkedIn for something else, and Snapchat for something else, and Facebook Messenger for something else. And people who either can identify where their target market is hanging out, or big brands that want exposure everywhere. I mean, there's so many channels for connecting. It's amazing. The hard part's finding which one has traction. But
well, yeah, exactly. And Snapchat's a funny one. Like it's, I think they're still really trying to find their monetization, sweet spot. So it's interesting to see them trying new things like this to do that.
Yeah. Their evaluation is ridiculous.
Well, when you compare it to their revenue, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess I don't mean ridiculous like doesn't make sense. I mean ridiculous like it's a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Well, I mean both.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make sense when you look at how much money they make compared to how much the company's worth.
Yeah, I think you're more like me, where we're kind of like old school. And there's a article from Jason Fried, the guys that do. Of course, I'm going to glitch out on the 37 Signals Basecamp, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay, gotcha.
And basically talking about how. And the Tropical MBA guys, the Dynamite Circle guys, they're real big on, it's not all about startups aren't all about VC and growing user bases with no idea of monetization and all this kind of stuff. There's value as a entrepreneur in building businesses that make money. And you think a bit more like I do, where I prefer to be involved in a business that is making money and can grow, as opposed to figure it out later. But the ones that figure it out later that get a bunch of users, man, they make obviously multi billions.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to go into too big a discussion around this, but look at Twitter. Tons of users, but they're really struggling now because they never really had a plan to make money and really become a profitable business based on that. So
Yeah, Twitter's an interesting one because it almost feels like they just kind of backed into some huge thing for themselves. All right, so now, not to steal your thunder, I didn't know that the Google thing was going to be your favorite one. My favorite one is all the data that Adobe and IBM and all these companies that have all these tentacles into retail, all the data they shared about the holiday. They started with Thanksgiving and then Black Friday, which is a big shopping day traditionally in the US and elsewhere, I think. And then continued on with Cyber Monday data. And, in the past, we would talk about things like, e-commerce sales, and now it's like we're talking e-commerce and breaking it in half, and the half that's winning is mobile. I mean, it's like we talk about e-commerce sales and mobile passed desktop in the amount of traffic to retail websites. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. So I think the way I'm reading it is, it surpassed it by traffic, but not by sales.
Right.
So by sales, desktop still had it covered, but mobile grew significantly over last year's figures.
Right. So traffic was, I'm looking at it right here for Black Friday, percent of sales and site traffic. So site traffic, 57%, up from just under 50% last year. Mm-hmm. And the percent of sales was just over a third in mobile. They did talk about how the platform impacted where purchases were made and how much. So tablets actually was more per transaction than desktops, which is the first time that's ever happened. So I think people apparently are more comfortable spending more money on bigger screens and bigger keyboards and those kinds of things. But it doesn't discount where they're doing their research or where they're trying to figure out what to buy, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think a lot of it still comes down to there's just less friction. Like on a desktop, it's easy to punch in your credit card number. It's easy to log into PayPal and type in your big long email address and password. And these things, they're being overcome, but it's still just easier to do it on a desktop, I think.
Yeah, and that's what surprises me is that it's a third of the web sales, despite it being so difficult. Like, I think a year from now, when some of these things, like we talked about how Apple Pay and Facebook and was it Stripe are having this single touch log into wallets, and maybe Google Wallet and Apple Pay will take over all of that stuff. So it just is a thumbprint away, which I think is where that's all heading. But
it's coming, and these guys are looking at these numbers and they know that there's more traffic from mobile, and the response to that is, we're already seeing it, is they're just trying to make it as easy as possible for people to complete purchases. So as those solutions become more mainstream, then I'm sure we'll start to see the actual sales numbers favor mobile even more. Yeah.
More time is spent in mobile, and then if there's no friction in the purchase, then it just makes a lot of sense. So just for fun, this graph that I'm looking at, this chart has the trend from 2010 to 2015. So in 2015, like we just said, mobile represented 57% of site traffic. In 2010, it was 5.5%. So it just shows you how far this has come, and 3% of sales. So it was a rounding error at best 5 years ago. Anyways.
Yeah. Good point.
You know what the top movie was in 2010?
No.
I looked it up just for this quiz. If anyone in Blab wants to guess. You want to guess or no?
2010. Oh, geez, I wouldn't even have a clue.
Yeah, come on. That's why it's funny.
Give me a genre. Like
no,
what?
No, just say the movie. Come
on. I've got nothing.
Okay, it's
no one. Yeah, go on.
It's well, I don't know if it's the number one. It was one of the big movies. The Social Network came out in 2010. So it shows you like that
wasn't number one. Come on, really?
Well, now I said it wrong, but on Rotten Tomatoes it was number one. Yeah, I don't know if it won the Academy Award, or I'm sure some cartoon was the one that made the most money globally. So I couldn't tell you the cartoon 2010. But yeah, it's funny how these years go by, and it's like when you see charts like this, it shows you how fast these things are happening. Yeah, so I thought that was just kind of a fun reminder, like, oh yeah, 5 years ago, The Social Network came out, the Facebook movie. And, mobile wasn't even on the radar. Yeah.
I just Googled Avatar because I was thinking Avatar would have been around that time.
2006?
It was December 17, 2009.
Okay.
So that had to be the biggest movie of 2010 still.
Sure. Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you don't get credit, man, because you didn't say it first.
Whatever.
I'll give you a high five if you can guess the number one song, though. This is Billboard number one song, US, UK, and Australia. You're not going to get it.
Can I guess the artist?
Yeah.
I'll guess Lady Gaga.
That's a great guess. It's not. It's Keisha. With a song called...
Where'd she go?
TikTok or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I remember her, but she just disappeared off the face of the earth.
All right. So we have gotten totally off track. Adrian just reminded us by laughing at us in the chat. Okay. So we have some data on Cyber Monday as well, because, Cyber Monday was kind of set up. This whole thing is ridiculous. It's Black Friday, Small Business Saturday. So basically it's like go to Macy's and a big chain on Friday, and Walmart and Costco. And then on Saturday, you go support your local businesses and have coffee and breakfast in town. And then on Monday, you go to Amazon.com. That's like basically how it's all set up. So
when do you steal things from children and tackle people and all that stuff? That's Friday, yeah?
Yeah, that's Friday.
Right. Just checking.
Yeah, that's Friday. In fact, those videos always make the news, and like not like local news, like CNN. Everything makes national news now, right? So I wonder if that doesn't contribute to more e-commerce sales. People are like, oh, forget it. Like, I'm not going to fight people for $100 off a TV at Walmart. It's crazy. Yeah,
I'd be like that for sure.
I saw that video you're referring to about how the lady like grabs a toaster from a little kid and the mom puts her in a headlock. And I mean, these are like normal people that go crazy, I think. Okay. So Cyber Monday, mobile traffic accounted for nearly half of all the online traffic. And that was an increase of 25% from last year. This is also IBM data. And then desktops still outweighed smartphones. They don't have tablets in here, but they talk about how the average for a desktop purchase was $128 and about $100 for smartphone purchases on Cyber Monday. So that's interesting on its own. But then the other anything that's an anomaly, right? So like you'd say, okay, well, if the US is 50% Android and 50% iOS, then you'd expect, okay, well, it's probably an even representation of purchases and traffic and all that. It's not. iOS made up 75% of sales. They don't talk about traffic, I don't think. They talk about online sales for Black Friday, and I think the whole weekend is what they're talking about here. or they're referencing a couple different reports that kind of reinforce the same numbers. 75%, 78%, depending on if you're looking at one day or the whole weekend of that mobile traffic. Maybe it just comes down to the demographic. The people with disposable income buy the $600 device and they have more money to spend for holidays. I mean, is it that simple?
Well, that'd make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening. But I think that is the end of the news topics that I think we had, right?
That's the list.
Yeah. But so a couple things. We've got a interview coming up with the VP of, what does he call himself? I don't know. Basically, the guy who goes and works with developers on publishing.
Yeah, VP of Supply Side Platform at Supersonic.
There you go, Supersonic. And we talk all about incentivized video and the things that some of their top partners are doing, ways to get ready for the holiday season. You know, if you guys have listened to the podcast for a while, you guys know I'm into incentivized video. Like, I think I had a lot of success with that. And I think that's kind of where you start with thinking about how you monetize, maybe outside of in-app purchases. But so, you know, we got into that a little bit, and I think it ended up being a pretty good discussion where it was a good, you know, it wasn't super like basic. I don't think. I think we got some interesting places. So that will be Wednesday. And then we're not going to have a Thursday, and we're going to pull this back to having just the news live every Thursday on Blab. And then we'll be showing those on Monday over the holiday season, or publishing them on Monday in the podcast over the holiday season. But we'd love to see you guys on Blab. Thanks for the guys that are here. What else, Andrew?
I think that's pretty much it. I think we've covered it.
Yeah, if we're ever, you know, we never ask this, but if there's ever anything that we're missing, share in the Facebook group. You guys don't have to come to the Blab to like get us to riff on it, but we'd love to hear, like, if there's sometimes we're missing news items, or we're not thinking it's super important or relevant. So we'd love to hear what you guys think we should be covering, what we're missing, those types of things.
Yeah, but look, if you want to get in on some live interaction, definitely come to the Blab. That's the place to do it. Hey, Eileen Smith, we just got someone new that's just joined too. How you doing? Yeah, that's the place to be on the Blab. But if you can't get there, head over to the Facebook group and join in the conversation there. Yeah,
that's at AB Peers. Eileen, you came right when we're closing off, but you can see the recording. We're gonna have this. You know, I think it just automatically is on replay, right? And then we'll be on YouTube and all that stuff. All right, guys, thanks for joining in, and we'll catch you guys on the next App Business podcast.
Thanks, everyone.